What's going on, guys? It's your boy Bombay, and today I'm here with Kenshyron, and we're talking about S.H.I.E.L.D.
What's going on, guys? Hey, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing? Thanks for coming along once again.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure. I love hanging out with Ibambe and the rest of the Wakandan crew.
I should have had the intro like you did last time. The Wakandan chant just going Bombay.
Oh, did you like that, by the way?
I loved it, man. I loved it. It's always nice. It kind of gives more meaning to the name because people still, for some reason, don't pronounce the name right. They're like, is it Ibumbe? Is it Ibom? Like,
No way.
Oh well. But yeah, so today, guys, we have I've decided to bring in a new series, and this is pretty much going to be breaking down individual teams or factions, however you like to call them, and sort of describing them as a whole, giving them a sort of perspective on where they are, if they're still useful, and which T4s are applicable for the certain characters, and going into a little bit of detail about each and individual toon and where they stand in today's meta. And with me today, as I said, I've got Kenshyron, so he's going to be assisting me. He's going to be sort of putting me on the wire and getting into little bits of detail with that. So we're going to start off with the OG S.H.I.E.L.D. team. Now, obviously, you'll see Black Widow, Yo-Yo, Hawkeye, but they're not the original S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury and Minion teams. Those members, as we can see here, are S.H.I.E.L.D. Medic, S.H.I.E.L.D. Trooper, S.H.I.E.L.D. Assault, S.H.I.E.L.D. Operative, and of course Nick Fury himself. So Nick Fury is a support character, S.H.I.E.L.D. Medic is a support character, S.H.I.E.L.D. Trooper is a blaster, S.H.I.E.L.D. Assault is a blaster, and then last we have another support character. So there's not really too much damage with S.H.I.E.L.D. as a whole. They're more, in the olden days, they were more just a very sustainable team. They survived, and especially with S.H.I.E.L.D. Securities, who actually I forgot to mention, S.H.I.E.L.D. Security is the protector of the team. Because of S.H.I.E.L.D. Security's annoying taunt whenever a S.H.I.E.L.D. ally goes below 50% health, it was always a sort of tag. It was just constantly tagging and toggling on and off. You're trying to take out the S.H.I.E.L.D. Medic, which of course is the most important character to take down, but then she drops below 50% health, and then you're taunting back on S.H.I.E.L.D. Security. So
it's so funny revisiting this team too. Like now that you dive into it, because I had nightmares before when I used to face this team in war, and you couldn't get past this, as you said, this really annoying taunt from S.H.I.E.L.D. Security. And nowadays, there's definitely a lot of characters that can bypass that, or you have a lot of teams like Brotherhood 2.0 where you can just flip that and put Disrupted instead whenever he taunts with Magneto. But yeah, man, nightmares. This team was all sustain, and just survivability was the key to the game. They would get you so many defensive wins.
100%. Yeah, the S.H.I.E.L.D. were like the sort of team that you wanted when you started off. But the problem is they were so hard to acquire. At least Nick Fury was, and he's the sort of backbone of the team, right? Because of those damn Kree minions. And nowadays, Kree minions are the least important farm of the game, with all the new legendaries out currently. I would at this point probably say Nick Fury is the last legendary you want to focus on, if anything.
Yeah.
But we can go a little bit more into detail about that later. So carrying on with the sort of timeline of how the S.H.I.E.L.D. team grew, we did get a recent addition, which is of course Agent Coulson. He pretty much brought S.H.I.E.L.D. up back into the sort of meta for a short period of time, because of his ultimate. His sort of kit as a whole made S.H.I.E.L.D. that much better, increasing their health by 40%, and that ultimate of his is just so deadly. I can remember facing S.H.I.E.L.D. teams and how you'd go in with your hopes held up high. Oh yeah, I've got this perfect counter. And then that ultimate just takes out your biggest damage dealer. That's it. Quit the game,
Well, and that was always the nightmare, right? Because you didn't know based on power levels. It's really hard to gauge. Did they put that T4 in or not?
Right.
On him, and then you would be facing the sad reality that yes, that T4 was done on Coulson. So.
I mean, yeah, like Coulson, I mean, as you can see, I still don't have him 7 stars. He's only obtainable in the milestone orbs at the moment. So for a lot of newer players, he's not going to be very easily obtainable, of course, unless they're wallet farmable, right? But,
yeah.
I mean, like the team still as a whole is useful for blitz modes, arena modes, sorry, not arena, raids for global teams, but all in all, they've kind of fallen off a lot. Now, of course, we do have other members that are S.H.I.E.L.D, like Black Widow, Hawkeye, Yo-Yo, and Quake. Not to forget about Captain America, of course. But these are used with the other teams like Wave 1 Avengers and Humans. However, and tell me what you think about this. Have you seen the new recent sort of meta war defense team, which is Crystal, Yo-Yo, Black Bolt, Nick Fury, and Coulson? What do you think about that?
Well, I think War, people are definitely starting to figure out that it's after a while your factions, as they stay, they kind of become stale because people really like memorize the attack, they memorize the turn orders, they want to throw you off with all this makeshift teams, this new shift in direction in war defense. I myself like some of those as well. I know that Agent Coulson inside of the Wave 1 Avengers also as the fifth. If you want to continue to hold on to your Thor and your Asgardians, it's also another viable option in war defense. Yeah. It depends. It also depends on how high this S.H.I.E.L.D team is, because believe it or not, even with the right ISOs in place, if you have this really crazy built-up S.H.I.E.L.D team that's around 500k, 600k, you almost still want to hold them together to force a really strong counter to bring them up against into war. So it's just all roster dependent at that point, I think. In war.
Yeah. No, that's right. That is right. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, the team still functions. It's just you've got to question: are the people you're facing strong enough to take them out? Is RNG going to come and save their day?
Yeah.
RNG Jesus. Oh, the savior. But
our savior.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of where S.H.I.E.L.D are as a whole, I think they have probably fallen off. They've probably taken the biggest hit. Well, next to Defenders, that is, right? Defenders are just out of the, you could just see the the ball of hay just swooping in the wind. I think S.H.I.E.L.D have taken a big hit, but after mentioning the team that I just mentioned, they've kind of been able to
fallen off for sure.
But so next, what I'd like to talk about is the T4s. So we're going to start off with S.H.I.E.L.D Medic. She's sort of the backbone. Or the secondary backbone after Nick Fury, of course, because of her healing ability. So one of the things that's really important to have is pairing Agent Coulson with S.H.I.E.L.D Medic, because of course on this ability she heals Coulson guaranteed if he's an ally.
Yeah, so you always gotta focus her out first.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that raises the question: how do you get rid of the big tank, which is S.H.I.E.L.D security, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually have crowd control T4'd. Now, believe it or not, this was actually a recent T4, and I know what you're thinking.
Really?
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's crazy.
So what's the reason behind this one? I'm curious. I thought this was like, oh, you know what? He built S.H.I.E.L.D security. I'm sure. He's gave their team. He built them up for
I'm a hypocrite. No.
What happened? What was the reason behind crowd control?
So when ISOs were implemented, I said, okay, I'm gonna make all of my Alliance War defenses at least ISO level 3. And there was a lot of discussion between whether fortified classes were useful or not. After looking into it, I realized that level 5 fortifiers were useful, but not only did those require a lot of resources to get them there, but it was also not worth it given the sort of style of play. So, and what I'm talking about there, as you can see, my S.H.I.E.L.D security's got 6 red stars, so he packs a big punch, especially with the offense ups. And what the thing I realized is, if you think about it, that's a total of 720% damage that this guy can do with that T4. And with those 6 red stars, the offense up, and potentially even the defense down from Coulson's ultimate, he's going to hit hard.
Yeah. I mean, I can see definitely, and not just that, like, he's just such an annoying tank on his own. Definitely, we pair him up with like a Nick Fury, someone S.H.I.E.L.D related, so that you can activate his taunt. But at 6 red stars, you're talking, different kind of damage levels there. And crowd control it's very underrated on this guy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's funny because I actually had S.H.I.E.L.D security as one of my DD2 members back in the day. Because so I should add that his passive, when he taunts when an ally goes below 50% health, isn't just for S.H.I.E.L.D. But the key thing to remember is if it's a S.H.I.E.L.D minion, he'll gain defense up as well on that taunt. But if it's not, then he'll just gain taunt. So, the more health, the more viable they are. So I think, of all the abilities you'd want to T4 his special, you could justify the passive, but it's just not that. It's not that viable, given it's only an increase by 5% block chance. So that's my shield security, and I think if anything, the special is at most something you want T4. I will go into detail whether I'd say whether the T4s are worth it at this stage, but I'm just going to go into detail right now about who I have done T4s for and why I did them. So Nick Fury, believe it or not, is another character I also took into DD2 again a year and a half ago, and the only one that I did was his ultimate. And the reason for this, of course, was that the ability to summon an additional, one additional minion. Because again, a minion counts towards that shield security's passive coming in, into hand. I think at best, I'd say the passive you definitely want to do as well. But again, we're going to go into detail whether or not you want to do this later on in the game.
Yeah.
Then we have Coulson. Now Coulson, you want to do his passive. You absolutely want to do. If you have shield on war defense, you want to have that passive done. It will increase shield's health by a significant amount, making them more survivable. That is without a shadow of a doubt. Then you have his ultimate, which, if we have a look, it calls 2 allies to attack the targeted toon instead of 1. So you're getting that additional attack, which of course can make or break that first line of attack from the enemy opposition. Moving on, we have Shield Medic next. So the only ability here that I'd see worth T4ing, and of course, tell me what you think, would be her passive for that extra 20% chance to heal on her passive, and that's on her turn. She has a chance to heal and apply regeneration to a random, to the lowest health shield ally, to the lowest health ally for that matter.
Yeah, and I think this was definitely a very viable T4 when this team was kind of like assembled together, and when they were at the top of the meta for war defense teams, it absolutely made sense. You wanted to make sure that you added more survivability to your team once again, and then being able to apply more regen will just make the team go and go. And like I said, in the past, they would rack up the defensive wins. I think nowadays, and being based on the fact that it's a minion too, and even though it is a very vital minion to this team, without this character, you don't really focus Coulson initially, right? You have to focus out Shield Medic and get her out of the way. Otherwise, you're gonna deal with Coulson coming back into the fight, right? But I think that's a T4 that was very essential in the past to make sure, like I said, the annoying survivability aspect of this team. But nowadays, with the counters that we have, you could almost say this one's luxury nowadays.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that. Lastly, we have Shield Trooper, Shield Assault, and Shield Operative. Now, I won't go into too much detail because these, again, more minions that don't really provide much more usability for the team. But for Shield Trooper, there's really nothing here that's worth an upgrade. Again, if we're talking luxury sense, then you could do the passive if you wanted to, but that's a big no-no from me. Shield Trooper, leave on the side. You do see a lot of people taking Shield Trooper into DD3 and DD4 nowadays, just because he's so cheap. But I'm never doing that because it's like, you got to remember, it's not just the fact that it's resources you're putting into. He's a skill character. The gear that you're gonna have to put into him is better put for someone else. Like as you can see, I just started taking my Black Widow to TIF 15 because she's gonna go into DD4, right?
Yeah. No, and you know what the funny thing is, like going to Shield Trooper, a very high red star Shield Trooper, it's also a pain to deal with too.
It's true. That's true.
And to go up against, but out of all the minions that I've used in this game, I think he's the one that has traveled the most because he's so plug and play in that aspect. Just pairing him up with a tank, someone that's going to be absorbing damage, and you want him right next to him, to take advantage of. So I've never really used him too much with my shield team, even from the get.
Yeah, he is. Now that you mention it, he is kind of plug and play. You can put him in between.
Yeah, you could almost add him to the plug and play list characters of this game. Because for me, man, the guy has traveled.
He's been
around.
That's good. So, lastly, we have Shield Assault and Shield Operative. Now, Shield Assault you want to have on the Shield Coulson team, and the Shield Coulson team, just to clarify, is of course Shield Security, Nick Fury, Agent Coulson, Shield Medic, and Shield Assault. The reason for this is, if we have a look at Shield Assault's passive, you'll notice that she gets an increased critical chance for herself and shield allies. So of course, with that Colton Ultimate, the more crit damage or the more crit chance, the better you are off. So this passive, I'd say, is worth T4ing. And for those wondering why I'm saying some T4s are worth some passes are worth T4ing and some aren't, and I haven't done them. Well, the truth is, from when I got them, they started to fall off. And at that moment in time, I wasn't getting a lot of T4s, and T4s are very scarce resources, especially when you're starting off. So you got to. Yeah, exactly right.
Same here. I think this is one team that I was like, I like them. I built them and good enough to like, hopefully get me a couple of defensive wins back in the day. But I definitely had priorities building up teams that were gonna get me legendaries at the time. So.
Right, exactly. And now, like I said, like apart from Iron Man, S.H.I.E.L.D don't really do anything. And because any S.H.I.E.L.D agent contributes towards the unlocking of Iron Man, but really and truly, Iron Man is the least legendary of the legendaries, so he's not worth it. So yeah, lastly, sorry, go on.
No, so I guess like to that same point, it's not a team that you're not gonna recommend to like any end game player. I think new to the game, you can get some benefit out of building this team. There is still some benefit at building this team early on to a certain point. They're like to a certain stopping point where you're not putting too many resources into them. While Iron Man is not good, and he's definitely an option, I would say, to still unlock, gotta catch them all, that Pokemon mentality, like when it comes to like the legendary things. But at the end of the day, while you should not invest too much into them, and I don't think the T4s some of the T4s are essential maybe for certain characters, even outside of the S.H.I.E.L.D team, even campaigns and whatnot, because you're gonna end up using S.H.I.E.L.D down the line as well.
That's true.
If I'm not mistaken, even in the Doom campaign. So. Yeah,
that's right. Actually, you do use S.H.I.E.L.D will actually be required for a lot of the upcoming I say upcoming campaigns in Hero 7, I believe, in Doom, as you mentioned. So yeah, they are still required. But that's the thing. At that moment in time, people might be looking at people like Colton or Black Widow, and Hawkeye,
something else.
So yeah. And lastly, so we have S.H.I.E.L.D operative. As you can see, I've hardly put any work into her. She's as high as she is just because I was foolish enough to put that many resources into her back when they were the meta, right?
Meta, yeah.
But yeah, no, she really doesn't need any T4s. Absolutely not worth it. But so yeah, to pretty much sum up, at most, if you wanted to T4, the T4s that I'd recommend would be Nick Fury's ultimate and passive.
Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D Medic's passive. Agent Coulson's passive and ultimate, and lastly, S.H.I.E.L.D Assault's passive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily suggest S.H.I.E.L.D Security Special, just dependent on, A, how many red stars you have for him, but B, just based on the fact that he's only there as a protector. The idea is that, yes, sustain is important and whatnot, but that special isn't going to provide sustain, right? It's only going to provide a little bit more damage, which again isn't S.H.I.E.L.'s strong suit. That's where Agent Coulson comes in.
And you put a perfect example of following the red stars in your own team. That there's definitely some vital T4s that you should be doing for this team to kind of like function correctly, but your S.H.I.E.L.D security hits next level at 6 red stars. So investing into a character like that at high red stars, and definitely a good tank early on in the game, still decent tank, and like I say, at high red stars he's still a pain to get through. So that T4 makes sense. Even outside of this team, I know we're talking about this team, but even outside of this team, like Agent Coulson has kind of been added to some other war defense teams, like I mentioned, with War Avengers, with Wave 1 Avengers being kind of like the 5th there, and in other instances being added, doing that T4 on his passive and his ult, even if you don't use them with the S.H.I.E.L.D team, you might still see some benefit from that outside of them. So.
No, that's true, and that's a good point to mention. You've got to remember that doing a passive or doing any sort of ability and maxing that out for any character might not just work with the team itself, but with as plug and play characters. The kits can make them plug and play characters, just like S.H.I.E.L.D Trooper.
Just like S.H.I.E.L.D Trooper, he's gonna be number 1 in my next plug and play video.
he's gonna be at the top of the list of who to get red stars for, right?
I forgot about that Trooper.
So lastly, I think the only thing that's left to kind of discuss is what the ISOs that you'd want to put on them, and then finally, whether or not for at least newer players, because of course later players will have all the time in the world and all the resources in the world to kind of invest, but of course it's not going to be viable. But so as you can see, the ISO classes that I have on my shield are Striker for shield security, Healer for Nick Fury, Healer for shield medic, Striker for Agent Coulson, and Raider for shield assault. The reasons for this: Coulson's going to go first. He's going to ultimate. The crit chance provided from shield assault is going to increase the amount of damage he can do, increasing the chance of doing as much damage as possible. The reason why you have Striker on Coulson, however, if there is vulnerable on a target, he's going to be able to rewind the turn meter by 149 per vulnerable on that character. Well, not per vulnerable, let me rephrase that. If the character is vulnerable, not only will he attack it, if that is the primary target, but he'll also rewind turn meter. So it's kind of like double attack in a sense.
Yeah, he was just that speed by what is it, like 20% each time? So
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Shield security, believe it or not, is also a striker. The reason for this is, again, more vulnerables on the character. Imagine if you double tap someone with the special. That's 720% damage and an additional slow on that character, right? Like that's an insane amount of damage. Then of course Nick Fury and Shield Medic are healers because of the fact that they don't really do much damage. They're there for sustain. And as I said, lastly, Shield Assault with Raider, because she's going to get that increased critical chance. She's, in addition to her passive, which applies an extra critical chance for herself and allies, she's also going to, increase that based on her ISO.
Yeah, and with that said, like I definitely agree with your ISOs. You could almost make a case just to add, increased damage to make most of those guys also raiders just for that same reason, because everybody's gonna crit with that increased crit damage and crit chance being added from assault right there. You're more than likely gonna be having vulnerables left and right, but I think the two that I definitely agree with you the most on are Coulson being able to rewind, so you can target one character in particular. To rewind if you're using them in offense. If you're using them more defense, he almost, like I said, can definitely go either way. You can go striker and you can also go raider with him because he does have those two big AoEs as well. And once again, this added extra crit damage on them makes a lot of sense. So yeah, ISOs are fun on this team.
I mean, I personally think that ISOs kind of bring a team's usability up a little bit more, and that's exactly how it works with Shield. But so I mean, to summarize, the truth be told, nowadays Shield is not a team you want to invest too much into. If you are going to invest into any Shield team, into any Shield teams, I'd probably go with the Wave 1 Avenger teams, which are of course Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then Yo-Yo and Agent Coulson. But of course Captain America, given he's a Wave 1 Avenger ally as well.
Yeah, and I think I agree with the sentiment. There's definitely, like, within this team, there's certain characters that if you want to go above, like, I'll say taking them up to like gear tier 10, level 60, for blitz purposes, for once again, maybe down the line, some campaigns, get them as close. And if maybe that's one character that you end up getting high red stars, you can use them in Doom campaign, but maybe like a stopping cap at a level 60, gear tier 10, and then some of your better characters that you might use in Dark Dimension, like Nick Fury is still very viable. Black Widow, as we know, is a cheap character to take now into Dark Dimension 4, so it kind of makes sense to pick and choose some of these characters still within this faction and still work on them. Yeah,
that without a shadow of a doubt. But so that I think that pretty much covers it. What do you think? What do you think, Ken? I think that pretty much covers the whole faction as a whole.
Yeah, and sentimental value, because like I said, man, this team used to wreck in War Defense. I remember when they showcased the footage the first time, I was so scared for this team, and I was like, man, I'm not ready. I don't have my shield team built up.
He wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready. But I definitely didn't have my shield team built up for War Defense at the time, because like I said, I was focusing on some of the other legendaries for sure. So have they gone down in value? Yes. Should you still invest in this team to a certain point? Yes. Build them up to a certain point. Maybe not a priority in anyone's book. And like Ibambe just said, definitely down the line, I think this is a team that you still want to build up. You know, getting benefits from blitzes, still a decent war defense team that's going to be annoying to go up against, or at least if you want to use certain characters like Agent Coulson and Nick Fury in other, you know, war makeshift teams, then there's still value within this team for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. All right, so Ken, I really appreciate you coming through once again, man. It's always a pleasure having you on the channel.
Oh man, I love it, man. I love every time I get to hang out with you a little bit and know you a little bit more. It's always a good time.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll be having some more stuff to come. You know, maybe.
I'm always ready for more fun with you, my guy. Always love.
Right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this first series that I'm bringing to you. Well, that we're bringing to you for that matter. This is of course the S.H.I.E.L.D faction episode. I hope you guys learned something from it. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to comment them in the description or join my Discord server, which I'm going to be leaving a link to in the description as well. I am going to be putting Kenshyron's socials in the description as well, so be sure to check him out and show him some love too. But apart from that, I hope you guys did like the video. If you did, then be sure to like and subscribe. And if you are subscribed, don't forget to click that notification bell. Ken, I believe you stream on Twitch, right?
Yeah, I kind of hang in there sometimes. So yeah. Definitely go and check me out. I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then, yes, you know, getting going on YouTube side of things as well. So hopefully get to work with Ibambe on certain more projects as well.
Definitely. And I look forward to that as well. But yeah, I also stream, guys, for those who don't know, every single day at 7:30 p.m. GMT. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And of course, if you'd like to ask any questions, then feel free to do that over there too. Once again, guys, thank you very much for watching and take care.